Good morning. So in this short video, I'm going to show how to graph piecewise defined functions. Let's consider this function f of x is equal to negative x minus 3 if x is less than or equal to negative 1 and 2x minus 2 if x is greater than negative 1. So as suggested, when you graph piecewise defined functions, you actually graph two of the graphs that are given to you, this one and this one, without even looking at the fact that they are parts of a piecewise defined function, and then we can adjust it later once we graph both of these. Now, sometimes you may have three pieces to the piecewise defined functions, and it's done the same exact way. So I'm going to create a set of axes. This is my y-axis, and this is my x-axis. And I'll graph the first line, negative x minus 3, using a red color. So to graph this line, I first find negative 3, which is my y-intercept on y-axis. This negative 3 right here. And then I will use the slope. Now the slope is number next to the x, which in my case is negative 1, and I'll place it over 1 to have a rise over n. From my negative 3, which is the point I already have, I will go down 1, because it's negative 1, and to the right 1. And that creates my second point. And I connect the 2 points, and that's my first line. So the second line I'll graph in blue. Very similarly, I'll start from the negative 2 on y-axis. That's the first point, my y-intercept. And then the slope is 2, which is the number next to x. And I'll place it over 1, just so I have a rise over n. So from the negative 2, my blue point, I will go up 2 and over 1. Up because it's a positive 2. And for the red line, I went down 1 because my 1 was negative. So I end up here and I connect the 2 units, 2 points, and there's my second line. So now to the fact that this is not just 2 lines on the same set of axes, I actually have to make some adjustments because this is a piecewise defined function. So here is where I'm going to look at my inequalities. The first inequality says x is less than or equal to negative 1. And the second inequality is x is greater than negative 1. So the numbers are the same in this case, negative 1 and negative 1. Sometimes they might be different. And so what I'm about to do, you'll just have to do twice for each one of those numbers. Otherwise, in my case, the number negative 1 is the same for each inequality. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to find that negative 1 on x-axis, and that's right here, my negative 1. And I will draw a vertical line through that negative 1. Now, this line is just for the easiness of creating a graph. This will not need to be graphed on the actual final product. Okay, so this is just for you to see how it works. So if you look at the first part of our piecewise defined function where it says negative x minus 3 if x is less than or equal to negative 1. So what it tells us is that our red line only operates, is only valid where x is less than negative 1, right here. This part of the graph will need to only have red line, okay? The red line that's on the other side of our yellow vertical line needs to be erased. So I will take my eraser and remove the part of the red line that comes after my yellow line. Okay? So only the part that comes before the yellow line, and you stop at yellow line, at where x is negative 1. Now, on the yellow line, my red line needs to have either an open circle or a filled circle. And that depends on the inequality. So my inequality for the red line is less than or equal to. That tells me that on my yellow line, I need to have a filled circle. When you have an equal to, that's filled circle. Okay, now let's address our blue line. So the blue line is only valid where x is greater than -1. The greater than -1 is the other side of our yellow line. So this is the part where you only have the blue line. Everything that's to the left of the yellow should not have anything in blue. So let's go ahead and erase the part on the other side of the yellow line that is in blue. Okay, so blue is only to the right side of the yellow line. And I will give that the blue line an open circle when it hits the yellow line because my inequality says greater than, not greater than or equal to.